Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Claire Mellon. I'm very lucky to be able to present at the Longevity Forum today. We've got a really packed afternoon. I feel quite embarrassed that I've actually asked these incredible speakers just to sort of hold it to 10 minutes or 15 minutes, which is rather embarrassing. But anyway, hopefully we'll do it. I just really need to say thank you very much to Patricia and Laura for organising this, and also to all the people who've given stuff for the goodie bags, because actually they're small companies and they don't really have to do it, but they did. So I hope you enjoyed it. We've got some more stuff on the way out actually for you. And just to say that I'm starting with Liz, who's very kindly coming along, who I met last year, and I've been telling everybody about her book because I think she's actually got exactly the right sort of pitch, which is, you know, HRT is not the only answer. It's nutrition, exercise, sense of purpose, all the other things that she talks about. And her book is fantastic, and there's a few of them for sale outside as well if you want. But I'm going to introduce you to Liz, and we'll have a very packed afternoon. Okay.
Thanks, put my clock on because I could talk literally for hours and hours on my favourite subject. Thank you. I saw that I was down to do well-being and beauty, or longevity and beauty, and actually, you know, the two are so closely related, aren't they? You know, you can't really have one without the other. And actually, interestingly, they share the same biology, because it is really at the bottom line is things like mitochondrial energy and cell repair. And, you know, for me, writing about midlife, and thank you, Claire, for my plug, A Better Second Half, you know, I wrote this as a manifesto for midlife women. So when I hit 60 a few years ago, I was just kind of struck with, I actually feel really fortunate because I feel stronger, happier, fitter, better in my 60s than at any other time in my life. Better than my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, definitely better than my perimenopausal 40s and 50s. And that's my dream for everybody. That is really my absolute fervent wish. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that that's what I talk about all the time. You know, because midlife, it's not about decline. You know, if I feel better at 60 than I was at 50, why can't I continue that trajectory? Why can't we all do that? Why can't we all be empowered to change what's going on with our cells? We know that we can reverse our biological age. You know, we can't turn back the date in the passport, but we can definitely do that. And we've proven that with things like glycan age and all the different metrics, the clocks that we can use to hack into our biology and see what's going on and actually test it and get data. So I see midlife very much as less about decline and more about opportunity, because it's possibly the one time, particularly for women, when we may well have spent the majority of our life being caregivers, and because like it or not, we are the ones that tend to get, you know, enjoy the benefits and joys and pleasures of childbirth and children, and she says as a mother of 5, and then of course that sandwich when we're looking after older parents as well. So, you know, by the time you hit, you know, 60-ish, hopefully, you know, you've achieved something in your career and you're settled. It's like, well, where am I in all of this? And I felt very lost in my 50s, and that's when I started Liz Earle Wellbeing to really kind of find my way through that. And I think, you know, aging isn't a loss of youth, as I've discovered. It's really a loss of the communication between ourselves. And how do we re-establish that? And how do we put ourselves back in control? And I think that's very empowering because it's something that we can all do. So basically, mitochondria. These are they've been described as cellular batteries in our cells. I'm probably preaching to everybody who knows this. They're actually a lot more than that. We're discovering a lot more about mitochondria and how they work. They are essentially the bottom line, whether you're looking at muscle tissue, which I know we're going to be talking about later on today, to skin, if you're looking purely on a superficial level for collagen, for example. And aging is really when our repair systems lag behind the damage that we're doing in real life, whether it's oxidative stress, whether it's inflammation. We're talking about inflammaging now, which is that new term, and glycation, of course, in the cells, which is just speeding up aging. So I think the goal is not to stop aging. We're all hopefully going to age. I certainly want to age, but it's about how do we do it intelligently. And actually, I know a lot of people might know my name better for founding a beauty brand. I actually started as a researcher and a writer 42-something years ago. And I kind of had a massive detour in the middle of my career with the Liz Earle Beauty Company, which was amazing, and it was a roller coaster ride. It was meant to be a side hustle, and it just really took off. And I learned a lot in that process, but I also learned that I didn't want to be the CEO of a global skincare brand. So we sold the brand, my partners and I, in 2010. And I love it. I love walking past and giving it a little wave, but I'm very pleased to be back researching, I think, what is really ultimately more important. So what do I really focus on now? I focus on morning light. I hope that everybody here today got up and looked outside, within that first 30-minute window, ideally. And we shouldn't be afraid of daylight. We've become so just indoor creatures, haven't we? I mean, I look at these lights here and I'm actually feeling slightly edgy because I now know what LED is doing to my circadian rhythm and my cells, and that's before we even get into lux and flicker and all the other things going on around. But we really do need natural light, and the light changes through the day, so it's not the same, it's not static, and that early morning light is really fundamental. And if you look back to ancestral ways of living, and actually my next book, which you'll be delighted to hear, Claire, is just simply called How to Age, because that is the bottom line. But it talks a lot about light and about ancestral living, because when you look back to that initial word I mentioned, mitochondria, the mitochondria that we had millions, billions, however many years ago you like to say, they were the first life forms, and they responded to what was around them to help them grow and thrive. And the main thing that they were susceptible to was sunlight. And we've lost that connection, and we've become so fearful of it, haven't we? And I really want to put the sun and the joy back into daylight. So even on a day like today, when you get up and it's grey and it's cloudy, it's still important to get outside, even if the sun isn't shining. And that's because we're getting all the wavelengths coming from red light, near infrared, medium far red light, green light, blue light. It's all there in a very complex, broad spectrum. And what happens when we see it first thing is it signals through the little retinal cells in the back of the eyes, it sends signals to the brain to start the circadian rhythm and to start the hormonal cascade. And without it, we miss that signal. So it sounds strange, but if we can get up and we can see that early morning light, we will sleep better the following night because we've set up that melatonin pathway. And melatonin is not just a sleep hormone, it's involved with the immune system and it's involved in so many other things helping our cells. So red light in particular that we're getting through daylight, even we don't see it, it doesn't have to be red. Actually, a lovely red sunrise or red sunset isn't red light. It's actually more to do with atmospheric particles and pollution, which is not quite as romantic. So don't worry if you go out and you see the sun setting and it's just kind of greyish, yellowy haze, you're still getting the red light. It's really important. But what it's doing is it's calming inflammation. It's a really important signal. So whatever you do at this time of year, do not wear a sunscreen. And I've already got into a lot of trouble on social media for saying that. And I'm thrilled that I recorded a great researcher, Dr. Veronique Bataille, who is a consultant dermatologist. She's published lots of clinical papers on malignant melanoma. It's one of her specialities. And she stands loud and proud saying, at this time of year especially, please don't wear sunscreen. And we really need that connection because our skin has a microbiome, which we can block with sunscreen. And that microbiome on the skin is talking to our immune response. And there are lots of reasons. If you're interested, please go and take a listen to that episode. So light, one of the most important things, I think, for pro-aging. Movement, of course, really important. We know, and we'll be talking more about movement, I'm sure, but exercise is stimulating cellular regeneration. It's activating stem cells, so it's really good for our youthfulness. Obviously, you've got blood flow and lymph and all the things that make your skin glow. Nutrition, we can't get away from feeding our skin, and as we get older, we need more protein. We know that for sure. I prioritise protein on every plate. I'm thinking, where am I getting my 30 grams of protein on this plate? Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Where is it? That goes on first, and then I add in all the colourful veg, the polyphenols, for example. Omega-3 fats, hugely important. If you don't eat fish or don't like fish, please make sure that you're taking an omega-3 supplement. Combine it with some of the B vitamins to help protect brain. Very interesting studies looking at Alzheimer's, for example, and dementia, looking at high-level omega-3s combined with B6 and B12 particularly to help reduce and normalise homocysteine. Sleep, sorry, I'm a bit of a racer because I want to get a lot in, and I have got my stopwatch looking at me. Sleep, really, really important. They don't call it beauty sleep for nothing. It is when we regenerate. It's not just a process where we just crash into bed and forget about everything. We really need to think actively about how do we encourage deep sleep? How do we get more REM? Use a sleep tracker app if you can. Look at what makes a difference to you. Eating a bit earlier in the day, making sure that you see that early morning daylight, having your magnesium threonate or glycinate maybe last thing at night. These things are really, really important. And I guess I should just lastly finish with a bit of skincare, because I guess that's what I'm mostly known for. I would say there are some really interesting things happening in the world of skin regeneration. The ingredients that I'm most excited about are things like peptides, so your short-chain amino acids. These are signaling molecules that are signaling collagen and elastin production, so they're getting our skin to do more of what we want it to do. You've got things like matrixyl, copper peptides, hexapeptides, for example, and then exosomes, really interesting, and these are the little messengers that carry growth factors and RNA to our cells. And I like things like injecting exosomes. I've tried that. I'm not big into, Botox and fillers because these are just sort of artificially doing something to your skin. But when you have collagen stimulators, you're actually working with the body's own biology to actually create more youthful-looking skin. And then, of course, if you're looking at supplements, then you'll need things like coenzyme Q10. I hope everybody is taking that, particularly as they're aging. Collagen peptides, super good. Lots of vitamin C. Don't bother taking more than 500 milligrams of vitamin C because it won't work. That's what the gut can absorb. So if you're getting these sort of high-strength, soluble 1,000 milligrams, just break it in half, save yourself some money, and just have 500 milligrams at a time. And yeah, obviously lots of colourful things to give you the polyphenols, the flavonols, etc. So that is a quick whistle stop, but I would say, just in summing up, that aging isn't necessarily your body breaking down. It's basically responding to what is going on within, and we can change that. And I think that's hugely exciting. And it's about just all the other things that Claire mentioned as well, passion and purpose, and having great relationships, connecting with society, with communities like this. So it's very good to be part of this community here, and I will be around later to answer questions, because I know that I've got to run now and let Lucinda have the stage, but thank you.